All right, moving over to the heavyweight division now. We got Curtis Razor Blaydes coming in at -120, going up against Josh Hokit, who comes in at +100. Now, Blaydes was able to get back into the win column as he was able to pull out a split decision over Rizvan Kuniev last year. It was a close fight. A lot of clinching and knees in rounds 1 and 3, which is what I believe was enough for Blaydes to end up getting the win. In round 2, Kuniev did a good enough job in terms of disengaging from those clinch and grappling scenarios and getting off on better boxing. And unfortunately, Kuniev was unable to do that in the third round, and that's why Blaydes was able to win that fight. But I think it's, it continues to go to show for Blaydes, if he's not fighting a big power puncher, he will more often than not win his fights, right? His losses are coming to Francis Ngannou, Sergey Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall, Derek Lewis. But if he fights anybody else, he's going out there outworking these guys and beating them. We know all about his credentialed wrestling game. That's what he often looks to implement against a lot of his opponents. His striking is not too shabby. It's just when he fights better power strikers. His cardio, very high level for heavyweights as well. He's 35 years old, so he's getting up there in age, but 35, usually the prime age for a heavyweight, so I think Curtis Blaydes is still good enough and close enough to his prime to give us legitimate performances, but it all comes down to the stylistic matchup that he has ahead of him. I think he's still capable of going out there and beating the younger guys, as long as they're not big knockout punchers, right? Now we have to determine, is Josh Hokit a big knockout puncher? Because he's getting sprung right into, the top of the heavyweight division. We saw the UFC try to do it last year with Thaleson Teixeira after he had that big debut against Justin Tafa. They threw him right into the main event against Derek Lewis, and he got knocked out in like a minute or so. So maybe that was too big of a step up for Teixeira. For Hokit, this is going to be his, third UFC fight? He goes up against a 20-fight UFC veteran this weekend after knocking out Max Jimenez, who dog shit, let's be honest. Denzel Freeman, I was very impressed with that performance. If you guys remember, I predicted Hokit that night, but I thought the odds were too wide. Thus, I had still placed a wager on Freeman. But the pace and pressure that Hokit kept up that night, Freeman could not keep up with it. He ended up gassing out near the ending of the first round, and Hokit was able to get him out of there. Hokit does two things very well. He wrestles well, and he game plans well. So game planning is very important for him. And the Guilherme Uriel fight, he knew he had a big power puncher, but also a BJJ black belt that night. So he utilized a smothering grappling game where he didn't really engage on the mat too much, but stayed active enough to really just wear Uriel down and then eventually get him out of there in the second round. The Jimenez fight, BJJ specialist, he was able to just walk through him with big punches and get him out of there that way. And then in the Freeman fight, Freeman very athletic, powerful, very good wrestler himself, but Hokit just put that pressure on him, didn't give him any chance to breathe, and that was enough for him to get him out of there at the ending of that first round. But one thing to notice in that win too, you see Hokit huffing and puffing after that fight had concluded. If that fight was going to go into the second round, I'm sure Hokit still would have won, but he expended a lot of energy trying to break Freeman, and he was lucky that he did. Because against other opponents, if he tries that and he gasses out, guys with better cardio and better gas tanks and more experience could potentially make him pay for having that type of approach. So, basic striking, but good enough for what he needs to do. Good wrestling, but that's going to get harder to implement against better wrestlers and better heavyweights as he continues to take steps up in competition. So this weekend, it's a very interesting clash, right? You got the young guy in Josh Hokit who maybe closer to his prime, going up against the experienced fighter in Blaydes, who might be the better wrestler, definitely has much better experience, probably has a better gas tank as well. So what approach is Josh Hokit looking to take here to try to find success in this matchup? He's not going to out-wrestle Curtis Blaydes. I don't think he has the type of knockout power to get Blaydes out of there. It's possible if he puts everything into one shot early in this fight, he might be able to land on Blaydes and get him out of there. And that could be his approach. But if he's not successful in doing it, I think he might struggle to implement any sort of successful game plan here against Blaydes. I think if he looks to just try to outpoint Blaydes with better striking, I think he'll come up short there. I think Blaydes could potentially even be successful with his own grinding grappling game, especially as he wears Hokit down. So I think this is one of those spots where I'll have to fade the hype of Hokit. And I think a lot of that has to do with why the line is as close as it is. Hokit's a good prospect. He might eventually find himself in title contention, but this is his first true test in the UFC. This is a massive step up from fighting a bum like Jimenez, fighting a decent enough prospect like Freeman, to go against a guy like Blaydes, who has, like I said, 20 UFC fights, fought the best and worst of the division, and we see where he really separates himself. He separates himself when he's not fighting big power punchers. I do not think Hokit is a power puncher. Jimenez might have something else to say, but Jimenez sucks. Let's be honest. So I'm going to go Blaydes here. Kind of surprised the line is as close as it is, but I'm going to go with the vet. I think he puts together a better body of work. Maybe out wrestles Hokit, maybe out points Hokit, but I'm just very curious about what Hokit's approach is going to be here. And I think as long as Blaydes' chin holds up, he should be able to outwork Hokit here and get the win. Maybe round 2, maybe round 3. I'm going to say he gets a finish in round 2 or round 3, but it's possible he could win this fight on the scorecards as well. But the prediction is going to be Blaydes, and Blaydes inside the distance.